Ladies and gentlemen, I'm announcing my retirement from creating content. I'm tired of all the Dems lies and the lore that everyone says is bad. I actually don't know any of it. I hate RNG, I hate farming the currencies, I hate attunement, so I'm leaving you all for classic... Wait, what? New cosmetics for my favorites. OMGs. Light Gang, let's go. Night Gang, let's go. WoW is so great. WoW is so great. GR8T. Ian is my daddy. He makes me so happy.
Hey, it's Soul, and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, the self-deprecating show that you might actually have to settle for after all. Just kidding. And let's get right to the biggest news to come out just the other day, the first hints of what is coming in a patch 9.1.5. Over in the EU forums is a feedback thread that urged the developers to provide new customization options to the Nightborn allied race, with fans feeling like this race was woefully neglected. In that thread, a community manager answered the call almost a year later, but lately, who's counting time these days? Short story shorter, there are more customizations coming not just for the Nightborn, but for the Lightforged Draenei allied race. On top of that, we can expect ear sizes for Alliance High Elves, get it? New travel forms for Druids, and additional glowy spectral shapes for Night Fae players, including critter shapes, the tiny animals that you usually sacrifice to make a portal to the Black Temple. What, you don't? Peasant. And there's going to be new toys, hopefully ones to destroy critters and inadvertently players who happen to be flagged as critters. Finally, in a bit of a tease, they said that they intend to work on High Mountain Torn customization next. This is great news to hear, even greater if you remember what was said during BlizzCon Live with regards to character customization.
We got a question submitted by Dizdick. Brian, this is for you. Will summoning stones be available at launch in the Burning Crusade, or are those going to come later?
Oh, that's an easy one. We will absolutely have those at launch in the
I got a
Burning
question
Crusade.
about Dizdick.
They were introduced originally with...
Okay, that was actually the best part of BlizzCon Line, but here's the real clip.
Sounds great. Huntmaster Averi from the Farstriders realm wrote in, and Eli, this is back to you. Will there be more new character customization options added in Shadowlands?
That's for you, folks.
We're not going to add more character customizations to Shadowlands. Let me
Bad,
explain
Eli.
that. So the breadth of character customizations that we did add, we felt like was pretty good. And, we tried to add things for most every race. There are a few we didn't get as many customization options in for. And those are the kind of things that we'll be looking forward in the future, to what can we do for the races we maybe didn't do as much for, what would be the right choices there. We try to be really thoughtful about this type of thing. And these types of features tend to be fairly big projects. We want to make sure that we put the time in, that we're very thoughtful about it, and that we release new customizations when it's going to be really good for the game, really good for the players, and it's still going to, happen in parallel with getting new content out too. Like, that's always our primary goal, is making sure that you have new content to play, and we'll do these other things to enhance the game along the way, wherever they make sense, and when we have a really good plan for it.
It's no surprise that folks were devastated by this news, hoping to see some bright spots after being pummeled by the long wait for a patch 9.1. I mean, we didn't even have a patch 9.05 by this point. Seeing this news is terrific. It's great. I'm probably going to be saying that a few more times in this segment, but not without reason, because I want to look at this from a different angle too. Even if you might be having a wonderful time in Shadowlands, it's not hard to argue that this expansion is embattled. From the delays to features like the Maw and Torghast that, well, they weren't as well received as anyone would like, to the endless debate of Covenant swapping and Conduit energy, to other debates over story and alt friendliness and more. And then Blizzard took a sledgehammer to the face with the ongoing lawsuit, diminishing its status in the eyes of fans and, more importantly, the people who worked inside the studio. Now, on that end, the situation is incrementally improving, and by that, I mean more bad news is coming out. An article by Upcomer paints a picture of aggressors and abusers being protected as they're let go from Blizzard. This is bad, but it's a kind of good sort of story. It's like cleaning an infected scab. It hurts, it's really gross, but in the long term, it helps the body cleanse and heal properly. So when news of 9.1.5 broke, I just happened to be coming off of stream after playing a mind trip of a game. I'll mention that a little bit later, but I looked at the news and I thought, all right, Nice. And then I walked into social media where suddenly I was like, whoa, what's going on? People were excited over this, like really excited over this. Like everything I just mentioned a few moments ago was washed away by the thought of ear length and customizations that we haven't even seen yet. I even reread the post real quick, like, did I miss something? Is player housing in the fine print? No. Now again, this is good news. Fans must be feeling relieved months after having their hopes dashed. It's a sign that the earlier backlash did have an effect, with the realization that even if Blizzard did want to react sooner to the reactions and say, okay, we hear ya, we're gonna pivot, they are very skittish over sharing this news and resetting expectations too soon, as obviously anything that Blizzard says is met with very strong reactions, whether they're good or bad. And as a relief, yeah, there is gonna be a 9.15 patch. As of this recording, this patch has not been officially announced, nor is there a PTR, but I'm sure that this news helps to reassure fans that the team is working towards a production schedule that we're more familiar with, something like Battle for Azeroth. Obviously, there's the total opposite of the spectrum too, with WoW's harsher critics calling this a sort of play for goodwill, something to try and make people forget about the very real problems happening over at Blizzard, and I've got to disrespectfully disagree. That's a really bad take, Bob.
Wait, what?
I'd like to think that the WoW team wants to work towards making their job a safe place, but also to do their jobs. These aren't mutually exclusive. I trust that the decisions that they make have the intent of producing goodwill, of course, but sometimes they make mistakes, almost comically. But I'll never ever doubt their desire to just want to make a fun game. But now I turn it over to you, friends at home and elsewhere. What are your reactions to this news? Like, are you learning this just now? Has it kind of settled in your brain for a day or so? Let me know your thoughts. Moving on, this week a classic era PTR build just went live. After some investigating from testers, it didn't seem clear if the server was conclusively in a certain phase of the classic release schedule. But one thing was certain, the PTR is not in its final phase with next Rammus open. So why would Blizzard test out a realm in this state unless it was exploring the idea of a fresh classic server, that is, a new server that starts at phase 1 all over again? The community's in a bit of a frenzy with speculation, predictions, and demands. Wish lists. I haven't played through classic, nor have I played private servers, so I'm looking at this topic mostly as an observer who's excited for others. I think a cadence of releasing and re-releasing fresh realms isn't so bad of an idea. It gives an opportunity for at least some creativity with repeating the classic experience if there's never going to be a classic plus, as some would hope. I could see the classic era and even future eras of World of Warcraft go through this sort of season experience, similar to Diablo 3. Fresh realms open up and go through the timeline over the course of like a year or some change, with some changes, enhancements, modifications, experiments, just, fun stuff to spice things up. And when the season is over, all those characters are tossed over to the original Phase 6 servers when Classic first launched and the cycle begins anew. This is probably the worst idea ever, but I just wanted to get your gears turning. I'm actually more interested in what some of you folks might want to see in a world where we might see regular re-releases of fresh Classic servers, so feel free to share, and there ought to be a lot of fun to read. And that's actually kind of the show, but not really. This week, Diablo 2 Resurrected goes into open beta until the 23rd, so hop on in and play almost literally the same experience. Obviously, it looks very 2021-ish with updated high-res models and new animations and lighting and effects and more to justify its price tag of like 40-some bucks, or enough gold to buy like 3 WoW tokens. I call that play to pay. My favorite quality of life feature though is a shared item stash with 3 big-ass tabs to dump all your crap into, which all your characters can get access to, on top of the one that is just for you. On a smaller note, I do like that you'll be able to walk over gold to loot it just like in Diablo 3, but you can always turn that off if you want to preserve the old experience. Otherwise, most everything is preserved. You can toggle between the remastered and the classic look as you like because the gameplay runs off the original code. Now, some are hesitant to take the plunge after the disappointment that came from Warcraft 3 Reforged, but after a bit of public testing, it's pretty clear that the delivery for this remaster is being given a lot more love and time. Whatever the case though, you can jump in for free this weekend and see for yourself. I won't, because necromancers aren't testable, so obviously this is total trash. And now, in light of me trying to shift away from just WoW and Blizzard news, we're going to do a brief game review. I checked out a game called 12 Minutes. It was not sponsored, I just happened to take a look at a Kotaku article that mentioned it, and I thought, hey, let's try this out. I did a full playthrough on stream just the other day. It's a short game, but it's very dense, I should say. 12 Minutes is a point-and-click time loop adventure where you control a character that relives 12 minutes of his life over and over and over again and has to find a way to break this loop. I'm going to try to avoid as many spoilers as possible, but basically, you come home to your wife who's got some really big news, but before things get too cheerful, a cop shows up and, well, ruins the night. Then your character returns to the point where he enters the apartment. Not only do you, the player, know what's going on, but the character also has his memory intact from every loop. The time loop introduces this very exploratory experience for the character as he learns a bit more about what's going on, and I found myself doing my best to try to make the most of each loop, uncovering clues and asking questions under circumstances that normally there's no coming back from. But in a time loop, anything goes as long as the loop stays intact. Predictably, the reality this character once knew becomes something else entirely, as truths are revealed between the wife and the cop and even himself. It was a legitimately fun journey doing it with the stream, but it wasn't essential, of course. There were a few flubs that mostly come from the game being structured around a time loop. It means listening to the same things over and over again, although there are checkpoints of sorts that the character learns to kind of speed conversations along. There were also some scripted moments that end the character's time loop that didn't quite fit, but I've also got to compliment the developer for covering like 95% of the possibilities with unique moments. My biggest disappointment, I guess, was with the end of the journey, when the character does finally break the loop in a way that I didn't expect or even desire. There's a moment where I felt like I uncovered all the mysteries that there is to know, and I had to ask myself even during the stream, like, where do I go from here? What left is there to resolve? And when I found my answer to that and the credits started to roll, I felt pretty dissatisfied, even if it made sense. Later off stream, I discovered an additional ending that left me even more disappointed. Now, with that said, I feel like I got my money's worth. It was like 20 some odd bucks for a pretty unique experience that I can never relive due to the nature of the game, but I'm walking away with a lot of really fun moments that made some really good entertainment for my stream. It was definitely one of those games that's more about the journey than the destination, but I'm glad I made it. That was me trying out a review. Let me know what you guys think. And the last part, I think I'm still working out the kinks to the coffee segments. I know that they're long, and I think a lot of it is because I respond to like everybody in chat, like literally everyone, and I subject folks on the VOD to that. What I'd like to do is try to have Coffee with Me be clear and concise enough to put it up on like Spotify or something, like a podcast that people can listen to while on a commute or something. I used to commute about 2.5 hours a day, and I would listen to Lore's Weekly Marmot where he just answers questions. So that's kind of the vibe that I would love to capture if I could. So there are a few ideas I have, including maybe doing Coffee with Soul just on YouTube, but there is something I'm going to try next week. I'll say my hellos to people who show up early, but I'm going to limit my chat interactions to those who highlight their message with the intention that they want me to read their question or comment on stream so I can reply to it, or maybe even steer the show into other subjects or segments or so on. Maybe that'll cause a positive shift, maybe not, but I'll give it a shot. And as always, more of your input is appreciated. And just in case you're not aware, Coffee with Soul goes on during my stream days on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, starting at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, with the VOD available later that day on YouTube. And with that, we're gonna wrap for today, but of course, we've got to give our thanks and love to the wonderful folks on Twitch who have been so great, to our honored patrons, including Kier, named after the best domination shard of them all. So good. Thanks to them and to you for making it to the end. I would love to hear from you, so send your thoughts and greetings in a comment below. Drop by the stream if you've got a minute. Like the video because you're great. You're just going the extra mile, and I will see you for the Monday reminder. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.